what we've decided is okay to run and not okay to run, right?
Yep.
Very, very odd. Very odd. Luckily, I don't like people enough to go out any more than I have to.
Yeah, I've been able to. I don't see people generally. So this is the first time I've traveled since everything went down.
Oh, shit. So since, like, February.
Yeah. I mean, we just moved into a new house, so we've been doing
Just moved
that
into a new house. Define just moved. When did y'all move in?
in,
January, February, right?
yeah, February, March. So, yeah.
Back to Texas. And you've got family there.
I've got family there, but I didn't grow up there.
Okay.
So,
Oh, that doesn't matter. As long as the family's there.
Yes.
I mean, that was one of the pulls. You didn't just throw a dart at Dallas and decide.
that was the pool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the whole draw of family to me, like, my brother's in Houston. My mom's still, like, where I grew up in Louisiana. So when I was in Baton Rouge, she was, like, dead 2 hours between both of us.
That's nice.
And so now I'm way the fuck away, and 10 hours north or something like that. And so Andy's still in Houston with the boys. He's got 2 kids. So.
Oh, okay. But is it nice? Have you noticed much of a difference from moving from Louisiana to...
St.
Are
Louis?
you in the Midwest?
I'm in the
St. Louis,
Midwest.
Midwest? Yeah.
Definitely in the Midwest.
How are those Midwest values treating you?
They're fine. And I mean, you build your own circle, right? And so, St. Louis to me still reads enough of the South that it's not turbo weird.
Yeah.
It's still the same pace, I guess is what I would say.
I grew up in Ohio, and like the general thing is, oh, people are nice there, and it's like that's the characteristic that we have.
Right.
Nice
That's
people.
like the least nice thing you could say about a place. Well, the people don't suck.
Yes, which I think is, but I do find when I meet other Midwestern people, you are kind of similar. Like the Midwestern values, although I couldn't explain to you what they are. I feel like I share those with people that I meet who are from that area but have left.
Interesting. Yeah, I know for sure, like, I mean, like Southern hospitality, those type of things. The big stuff I noticed now that I've moved north that I don't catch everywhere is anyone that I meet that I find in a role of authority. Which could even just be as simple as the person checking me out at a grocery store or gas station. It is always yes or no, sir, for me to those people. Like, I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Even if they're 10 years younger than me. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's not something that I ever did.
Yeah.
Is that your quirk that you have now that you're not in the South?
I don't know. But, I mean, I know that
Probably.
it's ingrained that I don't think about doing it.
Yeah. Probably. Whereas, like, sometimes when people call me ma'am, my initial reaction is to be offended.
Really?
Well, ma'am, I guess it's there's a big conversation with how we address people now, which is very interesting
It is
to talk
interesting.
about.
Growing up in the South is very different.
But, like, even the ma'am, miss, ms thing, it's like, how do you know?
You don't. But, I mean, who is
don't.
saying what? My problem goes back to intent.
Well,
Is anyone saying to you, ma'am, or miss, with a hope of pissing you off? Because if they're not,
probably not, but
I think they're trying to be polite.
yes, but I probably in my life someone has said ma'am in in a smart ass kind of way.
Well, sure, but they don't know your name. You got to
Sure.
use something other than bruh.
To be clear, I don't give a shit.
Right.
But I always thought it was weird when someone called me ma'am or even miss. I thought that was weird.
I get weirded out when my brother's kids call me sir.
Oh, see? So
That
you
I
know
don't
what
care
it's-
for.
You know what it's like.
I'm like, just use Matt.
Yeah.
I know I'm old.
Well, do they not call you Uncle Matt?
Yeah, it'll be Uncle Matt or and then like, but when they respond to something, if I ask a question, it's always like, yes, sir. And I'm like,
Yeah. You're like, I'm not the one beating you later.
yeah, I'm a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and I know that I do it, but it always comes across a little formal for me. But
Well-
growing up in the South too, like if I go to gas stations or any of that type of stuff, depending on like, it is not uncommon for there to be a female of any age working behind a register or at a store, and yes, baby.
What?
To me, that's totally common. Sure, sweetheart, we have coffee.
Oh, okay.
And I'm
Oh, like
I
she
couldn't-
says that to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Okay, I was
Not
totally
the other way
thinking
around.
you say she cashes you out and she's like, everything's, do you want a receipt? Yes, baby.
No way.
Okay, no, totally.
No, this is female to men.
That is a very Southern thing too. Whereas, like, I feel like if you said, or if anyone other than I'm gonna stereotype here, overweight old lady calls you baby, like you just, like it's just a weird thing.
Right. I mean, man, I'd gone back to Louisiana for something or other, and on the way back, was driving to go see my mom, and so was passing through, like, Rain, Louisiana, this tiny town, the frog capital of Louisiana, if you will, if you're that interested.
I'll have to check it out.
Put it up on your next road trip list. Stopped at a gas station, and this must have been March or maybe April. And so, like, early in Corona stuff and everything going on, and these two women at a gas station, one black, one white, I hear them say, one of them starts coughing, and the other one says, "Oh, Lord, baby, don't you come in here and get me with that Rona."
Oh, so she has like a Cajun accent, kind
A bit.
Yes.
And then the other
Cool.
lady responds with, "Oh, don't worry, sweetheart, I keep an eye on the Asian people."
Oh no.
And, or the China people, as was said.
Oh no.
And so...
It's hard because you don't imagine casual racism coming from sweet ladies.
My problem with
who-
it is like I don't believe it's racist as much as ignorance. I think racism has intent.
I'm not sure. I feel like people have been,
I think there's things to fix.
people have been okay, well,
But I don't think that lady should lose her job because of that statement. You know what I mean? She wasn't doing
would-
it in a malicious way.
I agree with you. Also, she's probably not at risk of losing her job because she probably
Chances are
hasn't
slim.
she probably hasn't seen many people that look like what she described in a long time.
You get a lot in the Gulf Coast.
Okay. I don't know. Still haven't been to much in Louisiana, but I want to check it out.
Yeah, even southern Texas, like there's a big Vietnamese population.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. But I believe, although people have informed me that the definition of racism has changed,
Cool, moving target. I like that.
basically she's assuming, even if it's just a joke, she's making a joke about an entire group of people that puts
What?
them on. It changes the hierarchy of what she's saying.
Not to defend, but playing the devil's advocate, we are aware of where the virus started out
Yeah.
of on Earth, and that
Sure.
is called China.
Well, I would say most rural Louisianans who may be Asian probably weren't on an international flight
I would agree.
at that time.
I would agree. The history of Asians in along the Gulf Coast is really, really unique, especially during like segregation and through all that. They found this really kind of unique spot because they opened grocery stores and businesses and things like that. And they were one of the few cultures that would support both black and white customers because
I
they
see.
fell into this kind of neutral ground because they weren't white, but they also weren't black.
Right.
And so,
So you just open up your market to everyone, baby. Let's
they
thrive,
they
baby.
crushed it.
They were on
you know,
something.
and have still been around with all these bakeries and donut shops and so most.
Well, is it Vietnamese because of the French influence? So a lot of people flock to that area.
I think it's Vietnamese partly due to like the Mississippi River Delta is a very similar landscape
Okay.
to a lot of Vietnam, so it made sense as far as what they were doing commercially over there, as far as shrimping and working marsh
Okay. Cool.
and growing rice,
Interesting.
those type of things. So like the landscape and climate, they're like, all this makes sense.
Wow.
We can operate here.
That area is so interesting to me. I've been reading a lot, and I just read. Maybe you're familiar with this book because you're from the area.
Oh.
The Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood.
I'm aware of that book. I have not read. Is this Traveling Pants as well?
I think it's a similar story. I'm not sure it's by the same author, but it's about a group of friends and their time in Louisiana on the rural part just outside of New Orleans.
Yep.
And set in like the 1950s. So it's
Okay.
very interesting. But that is like the only piece of, I'm going to go on a limb and call it literature.
Called
that
Southern lore,
Yeah.
as I would.
That's like the only time I've ever like read something from that set in that location.
The
So
area.
it was, although I'm sure a lot of people are like, that's the worst book ever. You either love it or you hate it.
Growing up with the racism in the South is definitely, it's definitely a thing.
Well, that book didn't do much for to explain that.
Just let you know what was happening.
It tiptoes over those more serious issues 100%, which I found to be, I don't know, it's like there's a very thin blanket on all of the interactions over it. So it might be kind of interesting in that way, but there were very few references to that specifically. So it does make me want to find out read more about the area and understand the whole Cajun, like what's it like to be a French-speaking Louisianian?
Well,
I don't know.
and it's a weird mix of language, right? Because it's not just French; it's this mixture of like Creole,
Right.
Spanish, and French influence, and it's a really interesting language. That I mean, just like the rest of America, we didn't try to hold that culture well. As a country, we decided to snuff it out and not let kids speak it in school and
Right.
move forward to everyone needs to speak English.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a
Well, considering that my area where I'm from, the people are just nice. I feel like it's one of those parts in America that does seem like a whole different world because
Yes.
you get so much, like such a drastic different culture.
yes.
So it seems. I mean, I actually haven't been there, so
Sure.
I'm hoping whenever
It's
all this
definitely
shit's over.
different, and like New Orleans is different than the rest of the state. Like New Orleans could
Yeah.
be its complete own separate entity, and then there's Louisiana that's south of Interstate 10, which is Cajun, and then once you kind of go north, it's a different vibe too.
Cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting state. And I was wondering, like with the size of audience that you've cultivated and built, do you find more responsibility to try to stay up on what the current social correctness is? I
Yeah.
don't know, because like I said, it's a moving target and it doesn't seem logic based.
Right. I mean, me personally, I find it to be a personal value to always ask questions and stay interested and try to seek different opinions. However, when I'm online, I have a mission statement, and that really grounds me to try to understand and try to bring myself back to what I'm doing this all for. And in the past, I've talked about politics and felt pretty active in that way. But I never felt like I covered any ground. I never felt like I changed anyone's mind. I never felt like I was particularly skilled at trying to do that in that realm. So now, although we're in a very different time within the past 6 months,
Yeah.
whereas I felt like, it was important to speak up and
Sure.
let it be known where you stand. I try my best to listen to people and not engage in some of those conversations because my mission statement is to get more women specifically interested in getting strong.
Right on.
And if a conversation that I'm about to start doesn't in some way support that or help that mission, then to me, it doesn't.
It's missed the mark.
Yes. And, I can apply that to anything that I do. So sometimes I'll be, take a hot selfie of me in a bikini and it's like, does this support the mission? Well, yes, actually it does.
Yeah.
Or me in a dress looking like taking a photo or doing like even a makeup tutorial. In a way that kind of does support the mission because it's communicating to the audience that I want to connect with,
Yeah.
and also setting an example that you can lift heavy shit and look a certain way. If
Right.
you can look however you want to look. So I always try to bring myself and ground myself to that mission. It's hard because there has been a lot of pressure to speak up, and I've found that I'm not an activist. I don't particularly enjoy when people who aren't very educated in politics speak about them. So I personally don't because I like to listen to experts.
Sure.
That is a weird line because there's
Also
a big
seems to be a little rare in today's atmosphere. I
Right.
think more people should do exactly what
And-
you're fucking saying.
and people are pushing to silence is violence and stuff, and it's like, well, I'm not silent because you're not at my dinner table.
Right.
I have a very close family member who I see several times a week who is a conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
And has
Hell
very
yes.
has very, very different political ideas than me. And I mean, we just had a very serious conversation in the middle of a workout, of course, about abortion. And I made my case for why I may think differently than him. And those conversations encouraged me to research more, understand his point of view more. And
Yeah, but there's a point of view also, especially along with conspiracy theorists, and I don't know how wackadoo conspiracy theorist this person gets.
he's not the most wackadoo, but he will listen to the most wackadoo.
Okay, fair enough.
He'll consider the points.
My problem with conspiracy theories, I find them fun,
Yes, same.
right? But as far as truthful, if I can defeat your conspiracy theory with something as simple as applying like Occam's razor theory that the simplest solution is typically correct, it's not great. Like, say, the moon landing, for example. Do I think NASA doctored photos and lied to us? I do. We have proof of that. And I understand that because we've determined they'll lie to us, we have to question everything. But I also can't question that 26,000 people that worked for NASA didn't take a secret to the grave about going to the moon.
Right.
That's not how people work.
Yeah.
If the head of the CIA a few years ago couldn't keep emails under wraps about trying to get a blowjob, the head of the CIA can't pull this off. 26,000 people didn't stay shut up about the moon landing.
Yeah. I do find them interesting as well.
Oh, of course.
But sometimes it gets to a point where there's people who can have conversations like this, and then there's people who can't, and the people who can't usually subscribe to the conspiracy
Yeah, of
theories.
course. Right.
And I think they're a dangerous thing in a way because they can just continue to breed distrust, which I think a healthy amount of distrust is necessary, but sometimes it gets a little scary.
It does, right? And where I land on a lot of things, especially with current climate, is, do I think my government lies to me? Whether that's because they think it's for the greater good or not. Do I think they lie to me? And I say yes. So I think everything needs to be questioned.
Right.
And so, like, I'm aware that at the beginning of this, they said masks weren't important. And then later said,
Yeah.
well, we said that because we knew that there was going to be a shortage and we wanted the people at the hospitals to have them.
So you
Now,
lie.
whether or not this is a correct and just reason to
Yeah.
lie to me doesn't matter. You chose to
Right.
lie
Remember when we were too dumb to wear masks? that was
Still?
kind of the
to me. You mean current?
well, that was the like, oh, you shouldn't wear a mask because only nurses and doctors know how to properly use them. And it's like, do you have that little faith in us? I understand people wear them wrong, but usually it's on purpose. Like,
Yeah, but
honestly, how dare you insult my intelligence?
well, that's my problem with the lying to me about the mask in the
Right.
beginning, is because you don't think I'm mature enough to handle the information. So you'll lie to me because you think I'll fuck this up.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, now I have to think you're a liar.
I think that's fair.
That's a fair statement. You lie to
yeah.
me, therefore, you're kind of a liar.
Yeah.
That's how that works. But, I mean, at least we'll sort out this thing in a couple weeks when this election's over.
I don't.
It'll all just go away.
I have no idea what to expect or what. I don't even know what to think anymore. So,
Look, we've been given two really shit options.
yeah.
That's really all there is into it. Whether politics left or right or whatever it is, you just can't tell me that you think these two 70-year-olds are the best and brightest that we have to offer to drive the boat. Outside of that, whatever. But if I can start there and have an agreement that there's probably someone better for
Right.
the job.
Yeah.
Or the job's flawed to begin with, and there aren't people who can actually do it well.
Sure.
Or anyone who could do it well doesn't want that job. It's too
Well-
stressful and it doesn't fucking pay enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Yang Gang suggested that he gets paid a little bit more. So
Yeah,
perhaps that was the.
I'm into that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird, but we've turned it into a celebrity thing, and so that's
Yeah.
currently what we're gonna have.
Right. Well,
I mean, I'm not by far I'm not pro either side of it. However, as far as the entertainment side of it goes, I am excited to see debates
well,
because
perhaps,
it's gonna
perhaps,
go really poorly for
perhaps we are living in the Hunger Games
dude.
age where this is our. It's like the Hunger Games is this gruesome contest, and so we're basically doing the same thing where we just, for entertainment, get to watch two candidates discuss things when neither of them are particularly eloquent.
Getting crushed by the sun.
And this is what we do for fun now.
So along those lines too, my own thoughts of I don't know if conspiracy theory is the right way, but it's been a fun thought experiment. Over the last 10 years, we've seen this further divide in our country, whether it's the haves and have-nots of income to poverty to education to what's available, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the next split that we'll see, and this pandemic has brought it up, is that split's going to be health. We will have people who are taking care of themselves and responsible for their own health, and then we have people that choose not to. And that's going to be the next big divide in our country.
I don't know.
Because you can't sign a stimulus check to fix unhealthy.
Well,
It takes work.
sure you can.
It takes work from people. You
I
still
don't
got
know.
to choose to be healthy.
Well, the difference there is that unhealthy people, there's no clear line. There's no way to draw that line indefinitely. And also, regardless of your level of health, you'll still be able to have a voice and engage in debate and engage in conversations that you'll never be unheard. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so let's say someone decided to start an insurance company, but had a physical fitness test required to work with that insurance company, which would make healthy people who are less exposed to pre-existing conditions. Chances are I'm not going to end up with type 2 diabetes. I'm also, any preventable disease I have a better chance of fighting off,
Right.
right? So the premiums are less because we don't have unhealthy people on the system.
Well, isn't there already a... Okay, sure.
And so then that becomes cyclical, right? That
Well, I don't
someone
know.
in
I
my
think
situation.
anti-discrimination laws may prevent that from happening.
I think they'll try. But it's still simply just, we can still qualify people for certain businesses.
I don't know.
And you can deny people insurance based on I think there's too much wrong with you. That this is going to cost us too much in the long run.
Right. Well...
I got dropped by an insurance company after having knee surgeries.
Yeah.
Because I cost too much.
Yeah. So, are you on the healthy side or not?
I'm on the healthy side.
Okay. You sure?
As far as pre-existing,
Well, perhaps I could argue that you're not on the healthy side.
I think that there's a chance I'll have surgery.
So...
But I am not someone who's filling prescriptions every month. I am not going to see a doctor on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use physical therapist. I don't go to... I use nothing on my insurance.
Well, who are you to say that you're
It's a statistic.
you're less of a liability than someone who's just on regular medication when you have to get this acute surgery?
Oh, look, we're talking...
That's very
we're
expensive.
We're talking ends of the spectrum.
Well, I'm arguing for you not to be on the healthy side.
Okay.
So that's where I don't think this
All of
will-
my surgeries, with that said, were a choice to have. Mm-hmm. These weren't something to save my life.
Well, perhaps if in this dystopian world that you're creating,
I'm not creating, I'm predicting.
perhaps individuals like yourself may be less likely to undergo surgery because maybe it might tip them over to the unhealthy side.
Maybe. It's very likely that if there is a certain level that you spend past, you are considered unhealthy and a liability,
See?
and you switch to the other insurance. I don't disagree. This is a scenario
It's
I'm
fucked
just
up.
concerned that may play out.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be interesting. Obviously, the distinction between the two are from different socioeconomic statuses.
100%.
So that's why I would
Oh, I'm
say
not
perhaps
discussing the simplicity of why people are unhealthy. I think that there's built-in problems to our system that create unhealthy. That it's not simply a choice.
okay.
But there is some self-responsibility that has to come in for your weight. Something like that. Now, something like, let's just
That
say
is
weight
something
alone.
that people will debate you on.
That's fine. Look, we can say any size can be attractive. That's an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But not every size can be healthy.
Right.
There isn't any 600-pound people that are healthy.
I understand what you're saying.
There's not any 500-pound people that are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably close to no 400-pound people that are healthy.
Okay. So where do you draw the line?
I don't know, but I think
Well,
you could find blood markers. Look, I'm not a doctor.
I think that insurance company will
I'm
have
not,
to
and
draw
I'm not,
the line.
They have to. I'm not starting an insurance company. This is a prediction.
Well,
I'm not trying to make money off of
Hey,
this.
someone's going to be listening to this and it's going to be like, what's the Big Short or something, where someone's going to come up with a way. Now
This
that
is exactly
they
what
know
I
how
think
the
someone
future
will.
plan out.
I do think someone will hack that.
Well, that whole
But I think that creates the further divide
yeah.
between the two sides.
Yeah, that whole conversation is really interesting. I've been interested in learning more about and just seeing different perspectives of the fat acceptance movements, because I think it has the potential to do a lot of interesting things and help people feel more at home, and I think that's a net positive for that community.
I was on John Glaud's Obese to Beast
Yeah,
podcast.
I love
was on his
watching
last week.
his channel. Yeah, I feel
And,
like he talks about things in a very it's not polarizing,
Nope.
even though he feels a certain way about it. So
Now, with that said, he also gets part of his audience that will call him an ex-fat, and that he
Yes.
is fat shaming because he
Yeah.
talks about being overweight being unhealthy.
right,
It's not an opinion if overweight's unhealthy.
right.
It's a fact.
Well, it's interesting because I think now with his channel and some of the people that I've found through his channel, you have people coming forward and saying like, I'm done with body positivity or I'm done with the fat acceptance movement, even though I'm technically allowed to be in that movement. I'm done with it because it encouraged me to ignore signs that I should have been paying attention to. So I find those stories to be interesting, and like I'm glad that people are sharing those stories, because obviously at the end of the day I want people to feel healthy
Sure.
overall, and I want them to
Happy as well.
feel powerful and live for a really long time.
All
So,
those things. I absolutely
Yeah.
agree with you 100%.
yeah, but also I've experienced and I would like to say that when I first started, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I was someone who may have been labeled in the body positivity community, but I was more
Okay, why do you think that?
well, because I was talking about, I had many conversations that I started talking about, like, I don't give a shit what you think about my body. And it wasn't necessarily, I don't give a shit that you think I'm fat. It was more so, I don't give a shit that you think I'm too muscular.
Right.
And so it's, I sort of,
I mean, that's a nice side of the argument to be on.
well, I started, yeah, like, I'm
Oh, I
jacked.
have too many muscles.
I'm jacked, bro. Like, fucking get over it. But it's a sad thing because I think a lot of women who have embraced lifting and noticed their bodies changing in ways that go against what society says they should look like in this conversation, how much muscle they should have and how they shouldn't have it.
Sure.
I found the body positivity side of it and that community to be a great place for those people because they were actively going against femininity. And now that entire community I've noticed, or maybe just some voices in that community have spoken up saying that it's only a space for overweight people. So I'm like, well, what about these women who are very actively...
So body positivity is only a space discussing overweight.
That's what some people would argue, yes.
That blows my fucking mind to think
Yes.
that, right? Because I think body dysmorphia exists. So this is one of the ways I was able to wrap my head around trans. And how I came to peace with it. Not that I had a big argument. I don't care what fucking people do. I want people to be happy.
You grew up
right?
in the South and you might have thought a certain way about
The
gender
thing I'm
roles.
not educated on, right? And so if I can make the association of body dysmorphia, which would be something that I think all of us have dealt with at some point. Even if that's, when I look in the mirror, I think I'm leaner in my head than the mirror tells me.
So you have the good kind.
Yeah, or I was fucking 320 pounds. A lot of that was like, oh, I look like that. That is not what this says. And what's interesting is since I've lost weight, the mirror to me still feels wrong because I still, in my head, look the same way I did forever at 260, 270 pounds.
You're still you.
In my dreams, I look like that guy, right? It took a long time in my dreams for me to get tattoos, which is an interesting kind of thing, right?
That
of
is.
like when you accept that that's part of you.
I don't remember my dreams, so.
It's very rare I do either. Bonnie dreams like a maniac.
I don't know what she looks like.
She's just thrashing around all night. It's a terrible experience. But with that said, so if there's days that I feel a disconnect between what I see in the mirror and how I feel about myself, right? That is some level of body dysmorphia. If I can agree that there's days I don't see what I think is supposed to be there, then further down that spectrum would be I expect to see a female. And I don't. And so I can, for whether it's weight loss or any of that, I can make those changes. Or weight gain if I feel too skinny or whatever it is. That one's a tough change. But I know that if I can agree that there are times I look in the mirror and don't see what I expect to see, then I can get it.
Right.
And that's all I'm looking for is the acceptance of understanding the mentality behind it. And I want them to be able to feel however they would like to feel to be happy. And so...
Well, to kind of relate to that conversation and how maybe people are gatekeeping body positivity or body acceptance, there are many people who look in the mirror and are emaciated and still don't like what they see,
of course,
assuming that they should be smaller, and are dealing with extreme body dysmorphia and anorexia or bulimia and eating disorders. So I think it's we probably shouldn't gatekeep many things.
I think we need less exclusion in our society.
Well, one time I wore a Metallica shirt, and someone
I love that someone had something bad to say about it, for fuck's sake.
Someone's like, do you even listen to Metallica? And I'm like, imagine trying to gatekeep the most popular
metal band of all
in
time
the world.
Right,
like imagine questioning that it's the most popular band ever.
You're right.
Some would say it's like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah. But what do you want me to show you my albums or what?
Another side of that too, for me, is so I don't, and I think this is a message that would help a lot of people if you can accept it. Is I don't take criticism from people I don't ask for advice.
Yeah, right? I recently read that too, and I'm like,
very
perfect.
Strong. The other side of that is comparison is a thief of joy. And so looking at, as a grown man, I can't imagine deciding to comment on your T-shirt that day.
Right.
To have a feeling about it.
To be fair.
And if I do have a feeling on it, this is a further sign of how fucking great things are going in my life that I can pay attention to this. Well,
he did just ask a question, and I assumed that he was gatekeeping, but I'm like, where do you want this conversation to go, bro?
Well, then, like, maybe learn how to communicate better as a person and say, like, holy shit, you like Metallica. What's your favorite album?
Yeah.
There's a way to phrase what response you'd like that seems like you're on your on the side of the thing instead of like, what's your favorite album? Because look, that's a problem with text messages, right? You read them in the tone that you're in the mood to read it. And that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I had a lady I worked with at an old job, and she was very blunt and straightforward, and so no matter what email I'd got from her, I always felt that I was in trouble.
Yeah.
Even if the message had nothing to do with the problem.
She needs to just put a smiley face at the end of it.
She needs LOLs and JKs.
Productivity will be up.
Yeah.
Tenfold.
Just LOLs and JKs everywhere. Just to let you know we're comfortable. You know.
Yeah. So that's been an interesting thing to pay attention to. Also, for me, I don't feel the need anymore to be a part of that community. I don't need to label what I do like, oh, that's because I'm body positive. If someone's going to gatekeep that, then I'll just do my own fucking thing. But I think it's...
Sorry, so are you not allowed to be stoked on how you look anymore? Is that Publicly, you're not allowed to be pumped on your own progress or your own success?
You know,
Because if that's the case, fuck that.
right. And that's
If
how
I'm not going to be my biggest fan, I don't understand how anyone else is.
that's how I feel about it. I've also had interesting things happen because I recently did, I tried keto and I lost.
You lost weight? No shit.
I lost weight.
Yeah, it's weird. You mean you did a thing that restricted calories and you lost
Exactly.
weight? That's fucking crazy.
Yes, thank you. That was my hypothesis and conclusion.
Yeah.
So
I've also done it. It worked great.
yeah, it was fun. I ate so much steak and butter. It was great. So I did that and went through a little bit of a weight loss, and I was sharing, like, oh, I'm trying this thing just to see what the fuck people are talking about. I also run a nutrition component of my business, so it's important for
Education?
me. Yeah, it's important for me to learn things like as dumb as recipes, how to fucking pack a keto lunch, because that
Yeah.
was a struggle, so that I can share with my community.
It's exactly right. Instead of you just reposting shit that you've never tried.
Exactly. So it was an experiment, and I had a few people, I think, get upset that I was losing weight, and also, just people feel a certain way about
They're
it.
pissed about science.
Yeah, and I think that's because, maybe certain people see me as a representative of someone who's like, well, you don't care how you look, and it's like, just because I happen to lose some body fat and fall closer to
Look, there's
the
no
ideal,
one-
I guess, that what do you think
There's
is
no
the
one
ideal,
in our
apparently.
space who does this for a living that doesn't care about how they look.
Right.
Come the fuck on.
Yes. I mean, it may not be the factor, but it is a factor.
It's a factor.
Yeah.
Right?
So anyway, I experienced some pushback for trying keto, perpetuating diet culture.
Perpetuating diet culture?
Yes, yes.
So what's
and this
considered
is
diet
very
culture?
few.
Now I'm fascinated. Is it
well-
anything not eating whatever you want all the time?
Well, I've found myself, okay, diet culture is one thing. I don't think it's fair to say that I'm ever perpetuating diet culture, because I'm just not. At least,
I
at
agree.
least what it's.
But this is a thing that's never going to come across my feed.
Right. So, diet culture is promoting diets, and sometimes I understand it to be the approach that dieting and losing weight is the only route to take in the fitness space. And, perhaps suggesting things that may not be in the best interest of the person doing them. However,
Okay.
people are different, and I don't know, like, some people get upset with the macro counting, and they choose not to engage with people or follow people who are doing certain things like restricting foods, the keto diet maybe, and counting macros. But my argument to that was like, well, where were you when I was cutting and bulking?
Also,
Now I'm trying keto, so it's a big thing. But when I was going
keto
through,
doesn't have an opinion.
yeah, yes,
Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have an ulterior motive.
right?
It's a tool.
Yeah.
It's like being fucking mad at a hammer.
Well, I think the choice that I made to try it was then perpetuating diet culture in a very small percentage of people's minds. Now, for me, I have a nutrition course, and it is based on changing your habits.
Sure.
And it's fully focused on that. It's super cheap. It's affordable, and it's something that gives you a system to
This is great.
at least consider your current habits and how you can maybe make them more goal aligned.
Perhaps, if nothing else, educate yourself on how things work.
Right. And so we are extremely careful with how we word that. And I've learned that I use the word diet to talk about what I'm eating that day, because that's what the word means.
Yes.
And so I think people get triggered.
You mean the
whenever they
foods you
hear-
choose to eat are your diet? Even
Yes.
if it was just buckets of peanuts?
Yes, that's my diet. I have a post in my drafts.
Diet's not a
And-
trigger word.
Yeah, I have a post in my drafts on Instagram. That is, the gist of it is, here's a friendly reminder that GOMAD is a diet. GOMAD stands for gallon of milk a day. And the diet rules are you drink a gallon of milk a day.
Right.
And as much food as you
And
possibly
it's
can.
bulking.
And it's a diet. It is a way to
How about
reach your goals. I don't
the
know
things
if it's
you
a great
currently
way.
choose to eat? That's your diet.
Yeah. So I think, as always, there is a lot of misunderstanding in fitness and nutrition. That has never changed. It's
But there's also a lot of people who want to be offended.
of course, and have an opinion, and that is an easy thing to have an opinion on. But I'm just like, well, I'm never not going to talk about food. I'm never not going to talk about helping people either gain muscle or lose fat or do both of those things at the same time or whatever. So it's just like if you don't want to hear someone talk about nutrition, then you should not follow me because that's
Perfect, right?
part of what I'm doing here.
Well, because if I look at my body, right, is my tool and is my, you did great there.
Sorry, I'm a mess.
If I look at my body simply as a machine, which it is, and I would like for it to run optimally, no different than my truck, right? So if I realize that, oh man, my truck has issues when I'm trying to go do this thing because my suspension's not set up, I would change my suspension so that I can do those things.
Right.
If I can't jump on a box I would like to be jumping on, there's things I can change to try to improve that ability. If one of the things I've got coming up is I want to do a trail run or runs or any of these other type of goals, then me weighing less helps me accomplish those things because it's less ass I have to carry
Right.
over that distance. This isn't an emotional thing. It's simply making my machine run as optimally as I can, and food is the gas I put into the machine. Why would I want to put mud in my gas tank?
Yeah.
And then be mad my engine doesn't work?
Yeah, I mean, that is an analogy. Would that be an analogy
Yes.
or a metaphor?
Oh, it's an analogy.
Okay, that's an analogy that works for a lot of athletes, and it's a great way to understand your, I want to say relationship with food or like relationship with how you're approaching your
Don't
life.
get me wrong, I've been 320 pounds. I've been both sides
Yeah.
of this.
And I think a lot of people, it would be awesome if everyone could view it that way, but I understand why many people don't.
And again, my problem with that is I understand that this analogy doesn't work for you. But the analogy isn't wrong.
Right.
The analogy is
well,
simple facts. It's not emotional.
you could argue though.
I didn't say it makes me happier. I didn't say it
Right.
does. I said it makes me perform better at the task I want
Yes,
to perform.
for performance, for sure. And I mean, I think when you talk about food and nutrition, you do have to consider cast a wide net of people. Everyone eats, and when you're working with clients, and a lot of times it is emotional, and people have their cultures intertwined with their food and
course
what
they
they're
do.
eating, and
But it's
as you
still
know,
choices.
as you know, growing up in the South,
Of
though,
course.
some of those foods might not be goal aligned.
And I, as a responsible adult, have taken responsibility for the things I choose to put in my mouth.
Right. But not everybody has that strength, I think.
But that doesn't make it not their responsibility.
Okay.
You can have a weak constitution and not able to do those things. But that doesn't make it wrong that someone else does.
Sure.
Nor does them having the constitution challenge your lack of.
Yeah, that I agree with.
That's a scarcity
Like,
mindset that doesn't benefit anyone.
what someone else eats and wants to do is of no concern.
Your
to-
success and the things that you do with your business are not a reflection of my failures.
Right.
We're both successful
Yeah.
at different levels,
Yes.
right? We can both be happy. You being happy doesn't take away my happiness.
Oh, for sure. Well, I think as we know on Instagram, it just don't work like that.
No,
Like,
it doesn't work that way.
There's so many.
It's a scarcity mindset that
Yes.
most people operate. Look, you and I dealt with this very, very early on. Years and years ago, you called me talking about wanting to do apparel. Mm-hmm. And I was like, here's everything I know.
Right. Yeah, you hooked me up with our boys at in Kansas. Are
Yeah.
they in Kansas?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And like, why wouldn't I tell you everything I know? It's not going to make me sell less shirts.
Right.
I want my friends successful.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I wish you the best? And two, I know how much work it takes to run a successful business. me telling you where to get shirts and how to print them
Yeah.
is the lowest fucking hurdle
Yeah.
for your success. If you're going to be able to pull this thing off, me telling you that information had nothing to do
Yeah.
with your success.
It's gonna happen regardless.
So
right,
why
for some
wouldn't I
people.
have an ally and wish you the best instead of like, no, you've got to find your own shirts.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, you know, you know who has shared that they have done that is, I think I understand this in some context, but Max Tuning, do you
Okay.
know?
I know
Max
who he is,
Tuning,
yeah.
and he has a really good friend, Christian Guzman, who's super successful. Both of them are. And I remember Max told me, and he told YouTube this, so this is public knowledge, that Christian would not give him that information because Christian was like, you're going to learn so much more if you do the work to like figure it out on your own, which is another way of kind of passing on information.
Look, I think there's enough things to figure out in
yeah.
that space. Where to buy blanks from isn't one of them.
Yeah. So
Now, finding a quality person to print and fulfill is its own own
Right.
thing, and different things work for different people, right?
Right, exactly, yeah.
But-
But I just wanted to,
Like I didn't say here's what all your design should look like.
Yeah.
Here's the times you should
Yeah.
post. Here's the time. Here's how much you should charge. Here's
Right.
the quantity you should keep in stock.
dude, I wish I had someone to tell me all that
Well,
shit. That'd
the
be
thing is,
great.
there isn't that answer. That's
Right.
only going to come with running your business and experience.
Yeah.
For me, it's important for me that if this is what someone wants to try to do, let me remove the mechanical hurdles that are in your way, because it's the other side of it that I can't help you with.
Yeah.
That's the alchemy that spins gold. Mm-hmm. And you either have that or you don't.
Yeah, true.
And
Most people don't.
most people don't.
It's
It-
just a
it-
pain
it's-
in the ass, like 100% of the time, too, to run a business.
It's a job, right? It's a cool job, but it's a job.
Yeah.
And it does take
It's okay.
creative work. Well, the difference in what we do that I think about, like the hard part of my job, is that I don't ever have busy work.
Yeah.
Like at my old job, I don't have to fill out sales reports. I don't have to go to do expense report meetings. I don't have to justify shit or talk about like what's happening in this region with someone else's business. I don't have busy work. I never have to sit at my desk and pretend I have shit to do.
Right.
So 100% of the things that I've got to do for my business, I have to be engaged in thinking and creative.
Yeah.
And if that's not there,
Well, who does the busy work? Do you have a pretty
What-
big team?
what busy work?
Well, sometimes I will find myself,
I mean, I'm not filing expense reports. I'm not doing next quarter predictions
Yeah.
to get funding out of the bank.
well, Ryan does a lot of that stuff for me.
Well, I mean, if you're at a level that you're getting that type of financial stuff with like a
Well, we every month have a pretty in-depth call with our accountant. Sorry if this is really boring. to
no,
our
it's not.
listeners.
I'm super fascinated by this.
So we do, and our accountant complimented us. We keep a very, he said, if you guys ever get audited, it will be the quickest process ever because we keep very detailed books. And I am terrified of
Being audited.
being
This is-
audited.
yeah, same boat. Yeah, this is exactly the same thing.
and a very successful business owner in our business, in our industry, told me that he had gotten audited before, and he was like, "It was a fucking pain in the ass."
I have the same experience with another friend.
Yeah, so we keep very detailed books, so that can kind of be tedious. Every month we look at, I have two different businesses. So I have one apparel business kind of more similar to
Sure.
HVIII brand where we sell physical products.
Things.
And then I have a online business that has a couple of different offers on training and nutrition.
Basically same thing I've got. I've got training
Cool.
programs. There's income from Hate Brand. There's income from training programs. There's income from online coaching within Train Heroic.
Right.
And then there's income from sponsors for the podcast or
Cool.
other brand deals.
Yeah. So we look at our numbers, obviously always shooting for positive net growth.
Of course.
And we go over that with our accountant to every month we have a very detailed look at where we can possibly
Cut overhead to
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we spending too much money on certain things?
Are we not spending enough?
Yeah. So it is extremely detailed and maybe tedious for Ryan because he pulls all the reports from all the different places that we're collecting subscriptions from or memberships. And we look at all of that and make projections for how we're going to end up. Also, it's important that we're doing those kind of things because we just gave an offer for a full-time position for someone. And it's a woman we've been working with for over a year now, and she's amazing. So I'm
Sure.
excited to have her full-time with us. So that's a big jump too, because it's like, oh my God, someone's salary is depending on me to have my shit together. So
Same thing I felt hiring Brant. It was very
Yeah.
much like, okay, like,
it's a responsibility,
Yep.
and I'm lucky that I have a partner in Ryan because he's very details oriented and I'm very big picture. So yeah, it's a good match, but I do have quite a bit of busy work.
well, see, that type of stuff, I don't consider busy work.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
exciting. It's exciting to see
And-
like, oh fuck, we're growing.
Right,
Sick.
and
What do we
me,
do
I
next?
try to keep it as simple as possible, right? Like with my accountant, everything is still under Matt Vincent LLC umbrella. So everything's under that. So taxes are filed the same way. It's not multiple LLCs.
Right.
And so, I mean, I essentially have a card that all of my charges in life go
Right,
on, and
right.
all of it are expenses.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the really
not
other
mixing.
weird thing about what we do is everything's kind of write-offable.
Yeah. I mean, I would suggest to exercise some precaution with that.
Right. Look, I'm not saying go buy
Yeah.
a Ferrari
Right,
and
right.
pretend that it isn't.
Dude, I think some people do that.
Of course
though.
they do. But at the same time, it is justifiable.
Right.
Right? So, for example, here's something that I will absolutely do. Like, so next year, most likely, I'm going to give away my truck.
Oh, cool.
Through the brand.
Dana and Rob just did something similar.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
And we've noticed this through our friend Keaton with
think I
the
know.
Diesel Brothers. So he's on a TV show
Oh,
on
cool.
Discovery.
Very
And so
cool.
one of the ways they built their business was they did these giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always felt weird about stuff like that until like I looked further into it and the way that it works. You know, like right now I'm running a giveaway with a bike. It's like a $2,200 brand new gravel bike, road bike.
Wow, sick.
And the
Can
way
I
it
enter
works,
the giveaway?
you can just order a shirt.
Nice. Okay.
And so the way
I'm
the
in.
giveaways work is you can sign up for our email list. So there's a free way to enter. Or every dollar you spend on the website is an entry
Oh, sick.
into winning,
Cool.
right? I'm going to spend that $2,200 on that bike anyway, on ad spend or athletes or some type of promotion.
Right.
So I can write the bike off as advertising. Somebody in one of my fans who still got the stuff they wanted to order from me for the regular price. They didn't have to spend extra to get a chance to win.
Right.
Someone gets hooked up,
That's
right?
cool.
And it's cool. So to me, I would rather spend my ad dollars and hook up a fan.
Yeah. Rather than doing like Facebook advertising.
Fucking
or-
right. But I'm not do both.
Yeah. I've never done any of that. And now we were having a full-time, she'll be our marketing director. Ivy is her name. I don't think she'll listen to this, but if she does, she's busy with work.
Good. Yeah.
So
She's
she-
busy doing things I don't understand, which is why I
Yes,
hired her.
Yes. So, yeah, what maybe, one of those tasks can be to look more into that, but that is a whole another thing where I'm always like, well, how can I maximize the impact of where I already am? And I don't think I've done that yet, or at least I haven't
Sure.
cracked that code. So it's like, yeah, that seems like a way cooler way to get people excited and involved rather than throwing up an ad on
Right, and so
Google
now,
or
if
something.
if as I go forward, if I buy a vehicle, of course, my company's buying the vehicle because they're easier to write off that than they are on my
Yeah.
own personal taxes. Especially if that vehicle and whatever things I do to it, if I'm making content about the vehicle,
Oh yeah, and like
that
souping it up and
vehicle
stuff.
is promotion for an eventual giveaway of when I give that vehicle away.
Sick, and which is all
So which means
supporting your
anything I do
business.
to that vehicle, I can write off.
Cool. So, how does the giveaway work? Like, do you have it like a giveaway for like a couple months long?
So
or?
depends on what the giveaway is. This deal with the bike, I do it for the month.
Oh, cool.
Like, so I did one a few months ago where I gave away a year worth of Monster product and a Monster fridge to
Whoa, sick.
one of my customers.
Yeah, that's cool.
We did another one where, like, over the course of a week, we threw $1,000 worth of cash into various orders.
Oh, cool. Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, so for Black Friday, I think I'm going to do $5,000.
Whoa,
So
sick.
like one person's order is going to get $2,500 in
Yeah,
it,
nice little
and
Christmas
then
gift.
2 people get $1,000, and then 5 people get $100 each.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet.
You know, I think that's a cool thing, man.
Yeah, and people always ask like, "Oh, how do I make it on Instagram?" I'm like, I don't know, do cool
I
shit
don't know.
and help people.
It's a lot different now than it was.
Yeah, true.
It is. I am glad I got interested in growing it whenever I was
Yeah.
doing it,
Yeah,
because it
like-
is a tougher thing to grow now.
My Instagram hasn't. Well, it's interesting because I have people coming in and out.
Of
Like
course.
some people, maybe hopefully got what they wanted from me and they've moved on and
Yeah.
unfollowed. But then new people are always coming in. So I see that as a positive because it's like,
I do
okay,
too.
well, more people that I haven't yet
or
helped.
or they're cleaning out bots,
Perhaps, yeah.
which is true too.
Yeah. Well, mine just like stays at
The-
535 for
Yeah.
the past couple of months.
Which-
It's been a weird time with everything that's going on in the world and like offending people all the time with no matter what you say or what you do.
Well, and that, look, a certain percentage is always going to be offended, and if you have
Yeah.
530,000 people and 1% gets offended, that's a bigger number than my
Right.
1%.
1% is going to be an absolute
That's a shitload
idiot.
of people.
Yeah.
In fact, if 1% of your audience bought something from you every month,
Yeah, that'd be great.
sick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So yeah, it's
It's the same number that's offended.
yeah.
It's just the other side of the spectrum loves everything you're doing.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Right.
It. It's fine.
And it's just so rare that we don't live in a culture that's terribly pro-positive, that people do pay more attention to the negative shit. Mm-hmm. And people know that if I say something shitty, it's more likely to get a response.
Right.
Even if that response
Oh, dude.
is from other people who just jump on board and not really you.
Yeah, and that's why it's been difficult to be a fitness or nutrition coach who tells the truth and is nuanced, because nuance is not sexy and everything is nuanced and no one wants to hear it.
But
so it's
fuck,
like,
man, at least that's good. At least you're not if
Oh,
you're not doing that, you're
yes.
selling fuckery.
Yeah, 100%. So if I have a very polarizing view on anything in the fitness world, or that to me is a red flag for any coach who has a very like specific, strong viewpoint and like this is the way to do it. That's when you know, like,
Well, it'd be
Probably
like
don't
some
listen to
coach
them.
saying keto doesn't work. That's not true.
right.
It does work. It depends on what your goals of it working are.
It depends on your application of it as
do
well.
do I think that you should use a ketogenic diet to approach winning the CrossFit Games? No.
No.
I think that's a terrible way to fuel the system for that type of performance.
Yeah.
But also, I think eating double cheeseburgers every day to win the CrossFit Games is a bad idea.
Yeah, probably not gonna work.
Not ideal.
either.
This is mud in the gas tank.
Yeah. So
But sometimes cheeseburgers are awesome.
of course they're my
I
fave.
want to live in a world where I keep my shit together enough that I don't have to feel bad about when I want 3 cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Usually 3 is too much for me, but on
Depends
a
on the
lower,
day.
Depending, yeah. But
If
no,
I'm
I
gonna lose it,
totally agree.
I can get pretty ugly with food.
I
that
saw
guy's
you
still
eat,
deep in
like,
there.
I saw you eat like 16 donuts or something crazy. That was
They weren't great donuts. They were cold, and I'd mushing them with my hand. I
yeah,
mean,
that's not cool.
not an enjoyable donut. It was it was accomplishing a thing. What like about you? Like, I mean, as far as food, and now in Dallas, like any go-tos that you've fallen in love with that you didn't have before?
Well, now we're embracing the Texas lifestyle and getting really into barbecue. So that's been exciting to check out new restaurants around. With all of this, we haven't made it too much of a mission to like try every restaurant.
Oh, dude, we've barely even hit half the shit within the
Yeah.
walking distance of our house. Like, we live in
Yeah.
a neighborhood.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, we are in total
You're the
suburb
burbs.
land. Yes, which is cool because we're planning to start a family, so it's very safe and there's other families around. And
That's exciting, man. That's a big change.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know what to expect there, so I've got no new info for you.
Well,
but-
I mean, if we look at historically who's made those moves, I know like Paige Hathaway has recently had a child, and,
Yeah.
and a bunch of other folks. I think it's harder for the women in the industry than the men to have kids, and
oh, for sure.
I don't
mean,
get pregnant.
yeah, your body changes, but I think there's a lot of bright spots in that happening because most women at some point in their life will be pregnant. So I don't know, that's a whole as far as the fitness, the training side of it goes, that is a whole nother certification.
It's a whole nother realm of experience that you
Yes.
can't fake.
Right.
The same
yeah.
reason, like I would never give strength training advice to a woman who's pregnant.
Yeah.
I would just
There are
say,
things to know.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
don't know shit about what's going on. Please talk to someone else.
Yeah, so that's something that I'm excited
Don't
to
get hurt.
learn more about. And there are, while it's recommended to still train while pregnant, there are some contraindications. So I'm excited to learn more. I mean, I have a general awareness of what they are, but I'm excited to learn more about that. And also, I don't know, it's been cool to watch Paige and how she's talked about motherhood and being pregnant and post-pregnancy. And yeah, it's cool. And as my audience grows with me, now, since my audience is about my age, so they're in the like 28 to 34 range, so most of them have probably had kids.
Yeah. Or looking to.
Yes. So
Yeah, I'm on the outside of not wanting.
yeah,
But
not for you.
and even with that said, look, I'm fully an experience junkie with my life. I want to do and see and feel as much as I possibly can for as many days as I have left.
Right.
I do think I'm going to miss out on a big experience, which is fatherhood. I just find the value in the other experiences I'll gain by not doing that
Right.
more valuable to me.
Yeah.
And that was the choice I made.
Yeah. I felt a similar way until like maybe 1 year ago, 2 years
That's
ago.
about the right age.
You know, so
Thank you, biology.
yes, right. So
What
I'm,
the hell? I've never thought about this, and why has this become such a strong
Dude.
draw now?
and it depends on, just where you are. I felt like I experienced the things that I wanted to, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
Perfect.
So yeah, most things bore me now. So I'm like, I think the next step is like baby.
Right.
I don't think that will be boring by any means.
No,
I'm sure it'll be mind numbing in
I
many
think
ways.
babies
but-
are a lot of things. Boring isn't
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those.
Well, in ways maybe like it's a little.
I think stressful and
tedious.
inconvenient. Yes, and those are
Yes.
two things I highly avoid.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of on our to-do list to say. But
It's a fun to-do list.
this part of it,
Yes,
sure.
yes. The practice part. The practice
Yeah.
part I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. There's some scheduling things that we need to figure
Oh,
out.
man.
But whatever.
Yeah, I went through that. I went through trying to
Yeah, I
have a
remember you
kid
said
for
that.
about 18 months.
Yeah. It's a whole thing to like track.
I probably shouldn't have gone that route while having 7 knee surgeries. May have been a bit too much.
Yeah, that's there's some work that goes into on your part especially.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I have to have a part of me that cares to want to do this.
Yes, yeah.
There's no way to substitute that bit.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting life with whatever choices are out there. I do run into problems with my friends who have had kids and then talk about the kid like it wasn't a choice.
Oh, like they're annoyed with the
Yeah. They're like, well, we can't do that. We have kids. Or you get the response from people of, well, that must be nice.
Oh, I don't like
Like,
when people
motherfucker,
say
you
that
had kids.
in general, yeah.
No one forced you to do this.
Yeah, come on, you.
This was a choice.
You were given the gift of life.
And look, I've never watched someone show pictures of their 1-year-old's birthday party and been like, oh, it must be nice.
Well, I'm sure there are people though who have felt that way.
Right, that have tried to have kids and can't, right? And that goes back to that feeling of your happiness takes away from mine.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
I don't-
mentality we have to get rid of in this country.
Yeah.
And people in general, is that scarcity mindset that someone having is taking away from your having.
yeah. My slight narcissism keeps me out of the way of really caring what anybody does with their own life.
Now, this is a question I find very entertaining for people that do what we do. What level of narcissism do you think you operate with? Because I'm terrified of my own.
Well, I think in the past couple of years, and maybe it has to do with Ryan, I've become much more self-aware because he is, what's the word? He's better than me in every way. So it just knocks me down a peg. He's smarter
Sure.
than me. He's cooler than me. He's more interesting than me.
Perfect.
So I think it's great to
We're going to change up the podcast. Ryan, get up.
it's cool to have come from a sense of delusion and then be slapped in the face with someone who grounds you and is like, oh, you're like, oh fuck.
Now, now, are you going back as far as like pre-relationship?
Perhaps. No, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Or would you say the narcissism comes from what we do?
No, I think I'd become less of a narcissist now that more people are looking at me and I'm confronted with the fact that people disagree with me. I'm not 100% right all the time. And there are other perspectives than my own, which I have found to be helpful because it does keep me grounded in a way where maybe someone looks on the outside and is like, oh, well, you're this like famous person. It's like, well, I'm also listening to people tell me that I suck every day.
Right.
So that is one part of it. And yeah, which I don't mind and I enjoy myself more when I realize that I don't. Every year I realize I don't have it figured out even more than I thought I did. And
Yeah, wait till you're 37.
it's a refreshing experience to be like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot at the end of the day. Which is like before, when I was younger, I thought I did have it all figured out.
Same boat. Me at 25, I don't know that I could tolerate it. 37.
No, I was awful. And I'm very vocal about the fact that I was a terrible person. I was also an alcoholic and like a dumb and had a lot of things not going for me.
I was a lot more of an asshole.
Yeah. I was delusional about that fact that I wasn't the greatest person on earth. And now I'm my narcissism is, I mean, maybe that's virtue signaling in a way where I'm like, well,
tell me that I'm not.
Very grounded now compared to what I was before. Whereas before I just thought I was the shit. And
the stuff for me that I have to keep in check, right, is like the awareness of part of what I'm paid for. So like sponsorships for a podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Like I understand the value of this because I have ears.
Right.
Right. But it is also weird to go, man, you know what would be a good business? The conversations I have with people I like are so interesting, I should record these to share them.
Well, I mean, in ways you are an expert, and I think...
But it is a weird thing you have to admit that to yourself to decide to go into this.
Sure.
That the conversations I have with my friends are so good and so special, I should record them and share them, and people should pay me to do that.
Well, if you're someone who's still listening to this, please message me because I'm assuming that no one is anymore.
We don't really have. I don't even air them.
But yeah, I run into that with vlogging because I'm on YouTube a lot, and I'm trying now to find a balance of videos that are very educational, and that's the purpose of the video, and then some that have more personality in them and is more like a vlog and showing you what I'm doing. Because it does feel weird when I'm recording it. Hey guys, what's up? Hey imaginary friends. Today we're gonna I'm gonna go grocery shopping. Let me share with you what I got.
Right.
But there's still some value in it, and people find that, and a lot of people could never imagine your life because maybe they're doing something like being a doctor, which is also extremely cool and interesting. But you do have this completely different perspective, which is interesting.
We have a very unique life. Mm-hmm. I do find that it's very interesting for sure. And clearly, people are interested in it.
Right.
That's been proven. That's not up for really debate. That this does work, and somehow some of us get paid to do our thing. Mm-hmm. Like the narcissism checks for me, especially dabbling in psychedelics and stuff like that, which really check you on those type of things.
Yeah, because you guys recently did ayahuasca and everything.
Yeah,
How was that?
It was great. It was a very, very positive experience for me in every way.
Cool.
A lot of closure, a lot of reflection, and a lot of way better mindset of dealing with still healing from knee surgery.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll do it again. I don't know when, but I don't know that I need to go to Costa Rica for a week to do it.
Right. Well, did they have an ayahuasca camp in the U.S. somewhere?
There's places.
Yeah.
There's places you can do it, and I think 2 days would be good. Mm-hmm. 2 days would be...
How many days was your experience?
4. 4 in a row.
Just yakking every night.
Yeah, but you really don't feel it's that way. It's such a small barrier for the good. Mm-hmm. That, like, they talk about the throwing up or anything being a purge. And so it's this purge of this negative
You're
energy.
letting go of things.
And that is what it feels like when it's happening.
Oh, interesting.
It feels like you are getting rid of bile and trash inside you that is poisoning you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very cathartic, and it's very, like, even you may see things in what you've
In the
purged,
vomit?
which is brown water, is all you're
You
throwing
puke
out.
and it's like, hey, Mom, how's it going?
Seriously. Like, there's weirder things have happened. I haven't
Yeah.
seen anyone try to go into their bucket yet,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, and it treats everyone very differently. Bonnie's experience was very different than mine, but very positive.
Cool.
And of the people who were at the place we went to, I don't think anyone left with a negative.
Oh,
Well,
interesting.
I don't believe anyone who finished being there for the week
Right. Some people
left
may
with.
opt
People
out.
bailed.
Yeah.
In the first 2 nights after the first ceremony, people left
Yeah.
and just were like, nope,
I could see that.
no thanks. This
Just
is
because they
too
confronted
real.
something that they didn't want to deal with again.
Man, we saw some gnarly stuff. One of which that was like this big kind of eye-opening thing. There was a guy there, I think 50-ish years old, great shape, and whenever he would get into it, like he would pace around the room and kind of speak in tongues, and had a real aggressive mannerism.
Yeah.
But it wasn't pointed at anyone.
Okay. That would still scare
It was
me.
it was definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
We saw another guy get fully restrained and like
Whoa.
dragged out of the building
Yikes.
as he's yelling that he's Jesus and that he's Christ, and then the last thing he starts yelling as he's dragged out and laughing is that he's gay. Now, I don't know if that was something that was determined beforehand or if he was open about it. I don't know.
There were 12 disciples.
It's true.
So this might all be it.
This could be the one.
Hey,
Um,
gay and poly.
Yeah.
It's the new thing.
And it was very interesting. The guy that walked around really aggressively, I talked to him for a while, like one morning at breakfast, and he was saying, so this is like his 5th trip there in 6 months.
Yeah.
And he is trying to work through whatever this is. There was this part of his personality that would show up when he partied, that his friends named, his name's John, and so they had named this other personality that kicks in Johnny Darko.
Oh.
It's a bit age determining.
I'm like, oh, he's going to be a fun guy, like Frank.
Nah,
from-
bit of an asshole.
Yeah, no, Donnie Darko,
a bit
that's
dark,
saying
right?
something, yeah.
And so Johnny Darko, and he's trying to get rid of it. And this thing would manifest in different
Bro,
ways
has
whenever
he considered,
come.
like, not drinking?
I don't think he is anymore.
Oh.
I'm just saying this part of personality has continued to just haunt him.
Like what he did as
I
when
don't
he was
know.
drunk?
Or that, and he's just not, like, sometimes it just sets in, and it's 2 weeks of him just being in this funk
Yeah.
of Darko's running the show,
Oh.
where he shuts himself in his house and gets weird and paranoid. And
I'd recommend maybe in addition to the ayahuasca, some mental health counseling. I hope
think
he's
both.
doing that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And so I think this guy's trying everything he can.
Yeah, yeah.
I think this is, no one starts here.
Right, right.
So he's going through it, and he said, like, the other trips, what'll happen is, like, he'll do the first night and feel progress, and then whatever it is will rear its head and won't let him go to ceremony the next 3 nights.
Whoa.
It'll basically, like, just shut him down. And so, like, he managed it on the 3rd night. At breakfast, I'd seen him the last morning, and he was like, it's gone. It's fully gone. And the weirdness of that is there was another guy there who had a lot of things clearly going on trauma-wise in his past that need to be unpacked.
Right.
And he ended up having a conversation with John about, like, I wish I could experience what you're experiencing with this walking around and whatever this powerful thing that's in you is. And John's like, nah, man, it's not a positive. Like, you don't want that thing.
Yeah.
And so that was about the extent of that conversation between the two of them. Like, he didn't give him the backstory of any of it or any of that. And on the last day that we were in class after the final night, everyone's kind of sharing their experiences, and this kid's giving this talk, and the same kid, and he's like, so I met an entity last night that offered to help me through a lot of my weaker spots, and describes himself and gave me his name and wrote it out, and it was Darqueo.
Oh.
And like this wasn't explained. Like John did not explain the Darko thing to the kid. And so
Spooky.
it is. That if energy passed on, had found a new host.
Very spooky.
And a host that was very welcoming to it.
Whoa.
I hope that kid's doing great.
Yeah, me too.
But he definitely was seeing way more powerful things than me. I didn't get a ton of visualization from it. I've had far more on other substances. But it was good. And like when I came home from it, the big takeaways I really noticed were little to no anxiety for probably 4 or 5 months.
Nice.
Very focused. Tons of empathy. And also a lot of empathy for me, which I don't have a ton of.
Right.
Those were all really wildly positive things that came from it. And I would say anything else I've done, whether it's microdosing or LSD or mushrooms or DMT, have followed in suit. That they have all been very, very positive changes. I don't think it's for everyone. I don't recommend it for everyone. But I think if you're called to it and have an itch and think it could help, educate yourself.
Yeah, maybe when I'm like 50, babies are in college, I'll be hitting up the Costa Rican lifestyle.
Before kids.
No,
I think it would make you a better mom.
I have no interest at all. Just generally from what people say.
Well, and then if that's the case, right on.
The whole like finding more empathy, I'm like, nah, I got enough, which is very little, but I got enough. I have, no, maybe not for me. Maybe one day, but I'm not called to it, as you kind of suggest. I'm just so curious
that if there is this experience that essentially allows me to see and visualize what's possibly another realm, I'd like to know.
No, I'm happy on this.
You're
realm.
good?
Yeah.
You're good with that?
This realm's just fine. I haven't fucking figured this one out yet.
No, same boat.
I don't need to add another realm
Same
into
boat.
back here in my brain somewhere. But yeah, I think it's interesting when people tell me their stories of experimenting with certain things, and just not interested. I did for a while really love doing cocaine. That was cool.
See, these have never been drugs that work for me.
Yeah, so I think there's like different
my
things.
very, very small experience with cocaine was a very quick realization of like, this is not a beneficial drug for you, my friend. You are already loud and a problem and obnoxious. You don't need a thing that makes you think all those things were right.
Well, you feel like you're amazing.
So me,
at that point in my life when I really thought I was, cocaine was this is another lifetime before I started anything, just so
a couple weeks
knows.
ago, you've made the switch. Now it's time for kids.
Yeah, right.
A couple bumps a week. It's like doing coffee.
So like this is like just after college, I experimented with more drugs, but not many.
Sure.
Probably that was like the only thing that I did. And you're just
smoke pot, any type of stuff like that, or?
Yeah, but I never really enjoyed smoking pot.
You prefer uppers.
I still don't. Even there was like a time when we were in Canada when we lived there, and I was like in the mountains, and I'm like, bro,
now's the time.
I'm gonna really give weed a chance, and I'm really just gonna do it every night, and just not too much, but just like before bed to try and relax instead of a glass of wine.
Sure.
And then I tried it for like a week or 2 weeks, and I was just like, I don't like it. So yeah, just not for me. But
see, I like it because I find it slows the RPMs in my head down.
Oh, nice. Mine definitely speeds up.
Yeah. So I need to go. I need to take drugs that slow me down.
Yeah. The cocaine would speed me up too, but I at that time was not trying to relax, and
you were trying to party.
You talk to other people who are also taking the same drug as you, and everyone thinks they're so smart and funny. And at the time when I actually thought I was smart and funny, it was a great time. But now maybe I wouldn't like it as much because I'm just like,
or maybe you're more
chill.
self-aware.
Yeah.
So I think one of my favorite ways I've heard it described as far as like alcohol and cocaine are essentially anti-psychedelics.
Okay.
So they stroke the ego.
Oh, yeah.
That's already there.
Yeah.
They are just voices going, fuck, yes.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Everything we're doing is awesome.
That is exactly what it's like. And even now I love having a drink like with dinner and friends, but I don't love drinking as much anymore.
Do you not like drinking, or do you hate being hungover? Because I hate being hungover.
I hate being hungover, and maybe that has to do with when I am drinking. That is in the back of my head.
I'm always thinking
like,
about it.
how
And also, I
hungover am
can't
gonna
predict hangovers anymore. It's like, oh, cool, I had a drink last night and I feel like shit today.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it just wrecks me now.
I'm too much of a baby to deal with the inconvenience of being hungover
Yeah,
anymore.
I mean, like, foggy
too many
the whole
things I
next
wanna do.
day. Right.
It cost me 2 days of my life to
Yeah.
get really shit-faced.
Yeah.
It's just too
Well.
much. It's too much. Man, I am so glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, in Colorado, and we're gonna head down to Texas. I'm really hoping before the end of the year. We've got friends I want to come see in Dallas with you guys, and Paige Hathaway's there,
Right,
and Justin
yeah.
Poston, Jason Poston is there.
That's her partner?
No.
Oh, okay,
That's
okay.
Another
Different person.
Another guy I met at FitCon
Oh, cool.
when we were out there, and he's just rad.
Nice.
And so I want to be around
Sweet,
more,
yeah, come on
more
down.
rad people. I need
Can
to go
do
see all
yeehaw
the
stuff.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
That'll be yeah, you
I'm
are.
familiar with
Yeah,
yeehaw
you are.
shit. And I need to get down to Austin and go see those folks too. Go see Nick
Yeah.
and go see all the
Yeah, they're great.
Kyle Kingsbury and Aubrey and that whole crowd
Yeah,
too.
Texas
So.
is the new fitness epicenter.
I don't like that they defunded the police department in Austin. That doesn't seem like a
Did
smart
they
idea.
do that?
They did. There were billboards about it leaving into the city that
Wow.
said, just be aware that you're in an area that is be defunded for the next 20 miles.
Well,
Don't call for help.
They have some. Everybody's got a gun, so
That's true.
IDK.
Armed society is a polite society.
I guess. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Well, okay. Just simple math. You know what's places you never hear that get robbed at gunpoint? Gun stores.
fair.
Everyone in there has guns.
Yeah, fair.
Places that people go shoot places up aren't armed. They look like schools.
True.
You don't go to places where you think there's a bunch of people with guns.
Yeah, no one's going to the cowboy church.
Correct.
To try,
Right.
try and
Yeah.
hurt somebody.
Yes,
So, fair enough.
No one's going to shoot up Joel Epstein's
Yeah.
side at the Astrodome selling out
Yeah,
30,000
that
seats.
is
I would
true.
say that's a relatively armed population.
So yeah, I'm not very. I haven't embraced that part of the culture yet.
Your gun?
But,
you haven't got your
no.
concealed carry. How are you even
No,
allowed to
don't
walk
tell
around in
anybody.
Texas?
Fuck, I shouldn't be
Keep it in
advertising
your
this.
boots.
Yeah, maybe one day. I think for sure. Yeah.
Look, guns are a tool. I look at it. The owner's the problem. It's a tool, and in the same way that as I am a mountain biker or cyclist and do those type of things, I have never taken a crash where I've smashed my head into a thing.
Right.
But I've worn a helmet every time I ride my bike. I've never been in a major car wreck. That doesn't make my seatbelt worthless.
Yeah.
It's the same way that I feel about concealed carry.
Right.
I hope I never fucking need this. But I still understand that in a terrible, awful scenario, I'd rather have the option
Right.
than wait for someone to help me.
Hey.
I also avoid situations that I could ever think that would be a problem. I'm not out late. I don't go to places that I
Right.
find sketchy,
Yeah.
but bad shit happens.
Sure.
And if nothing else, I mean, maybe you're able to help someone who can't help themselves. You know, I still think that our country needs dangerous, kind people to protect people from wolves. You know, I think that's how I feel about like our special forces group is sometimes you need bad people to keep worse people from the door. And our country employs a lot of people that fit that bill. People that are prepared to fight back.
Right.
And so I'm glad we have that. Like that's part of the reason I don't think we'll ever be invaded.
Well, you'll be going to the Wild Wild West, I guess, down in Austin. That'll be exciting.
The Wild Wild West. It's a good time. So where can everyone find all your stuff as if
Yeah,
they don't know?
check me out on Instagram. It's at Meg Squats.
At Meg
And
Squats.
also YouTube, Meg Squats.
Same name across everything. This is the thing I really fucked up.
I try. There's I think on TikTok it's like something weird, but
Someone else already got it. It's like Meg Squat 70.
or maybe I signed up and forgot or something. I don't know.
I definitely have done that.
But
I'm like, why is this email already in there and I don't know anything about
yes,
it?
yeah. So check me out on YouTube, Meg Squats, and Instagram.
Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.